The afternoon sun blazed overhead as Maya stood at the edge of the community pool, her heart hammering against her ribs. Behind her, she could hear the whispers, sharp, cruel, designed to cut. Tessa and her friends had been circling like sharks all summer, ever since Maya had testified against Tessa's older brother for vandalizing the youth center. The town had split down the middle, and Maya had become the girl who couldn't be trusted, the snitch, the outsider. "What's wrong, Maya?" Tessa called out, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Can't swim?" Maya's fingers trembled. The truth was, she could barely keep herself afloat. She'd been taking lessons for months, but deep water still terrified her. The pool stretched before her like a blue abyss, 12 feet at its deepest point. She'd planned to stay in the shallow end today, but Tessa had other ideas. "I just came to cool off," Maya said quietly, trying to step away from the edge, but Tessa moved closer. Flanked by her two friends, Britt and Lex, their faces wore matching smirks. "You know what I think?" Tessa said, loud enough for everyone lounging poolside to hear. "I think you're afraid of everything. Afraid to mind your own business. Afraid to face consequences. Leave me alone," Maya whispered, but her voice was lost in the sudden splash as Britt accidentally bumped into her. Maya's arms windmilled desperately. For one suspended moment, she teetered on the concrete edge, and then she felt two firm hands against her back, Tessa's hands, and she was falling. The water swallowed her whole. Cold shocked through her body as she plunged downward. Her lungs seized. She kicked frantically, disoriented, watching bubbles spiral past her face toward the surface that suddenly seemed impossibly far away. Panic clawed at her throat. This was it. This was how she'd die, and Tessa would call it an accident. And everyone would believe her because they always believed Tessa. But then, through the terror, a strange clarity emerged. Maya stopped thrashing. Her mind flashed to something her grandmother had once told her. Sometimes the only power you have is what you pretend to have. Above the water, she could see distorted figures gathered at the edge. The lifeguard. Where was the lifeguard? She spotted him talking to someone near the snack bar, his back turned. Maya let herself sink a little deeper. She went completely limp, eyes closed, holding the precious air in her lungs. She counted 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Every instinct screamed at her to fight to the surface, but she forced herself to wait. 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. She heard the muffled sound of someone screaming. Maya cracked one eye open just enough to see shapes diving into the water. Not Tessa, never Tessa. But two older boys, regulars at the pool, crashed through the surface and swam toward her. She kept her body slack as strong arms grabbed her and pulled her upward. The sunlight broke over her face as they hauled her to the pool's edge. "Call 911!" someone shouted. Maya felt herself being lifted onto the hot concrete. She remained perfectly still, even though her lungs were burning, even though every fiber of her being wanted to gasp and cough. Not yet. She needed everyone to see this. She needed witnesses. "Is she breathing?" That was Mrs. Chen who managed the pool. "I don't know. Move back. Give her space." Oh my God, someone was crying. That sounded like Britt, her voice high and panicked. "What happened?" the lifeguard demanded, and Maya could hear the fear beneath his authority. "She just fell," Tessa said quickly. "She was standing too close to the edge, and that's not true," another voice cut in. Maya recognized it as Marcus, a quiet kid from her English class. "I saw you push her. I was sitting right there, and I saw everything." "You're lying," Tessa shrieked. "I saw it too," added Sarah, one of the middle school girls. "You pushed her on purpose." Maya heard sirens in the distance. It was time. She coughed, a small, realistic sputter, and let her eyes flutter open. She gasped, as if truly coming back from the edge of consciousness, and the relief that washed over the gathered crowd was palpable. Maya. Thank God! Mrs. Chen's face swam into view, creased with worry. "Sweetie, can you hear me?" "Don't try to move." Maya blinked slowly, playing up the disorientation.
What?
"What happened? You nearly drowned, honey. Just lie still. The paramedics are coming." "I was pushed," Maya whispered, making sure her voice carried. "Tessa pushed me." "She's delirious," Tessa said desperately. "She doesn't know what she's saying." "We know exactly what happened," Marcus said firmly, standing up. "And we're all going to tell the police the truth this time." The paramedics arrived at 3:27 p.m., and Maya let them check her vitals while maintaining her shaken demeanor. She was fine, actually. Her swimming lessons had been enough to keep her alive until help came, and she'd never truly been in danger of drowning once those boys had jumped in. But no one needed to know that she'd been in control the entire time. The police arrived shortly after. Maya sat wrapped in a towel, watching as Officer Rodriguez took statements from Marcus, Sarah, and 3 other witnesses who'd seen Tessa push her. Tessa stood apart, her arms crossed, her face pale. Britt and Lex had already turned on her, confirming the story. Desperate to save themselves. "This is ridiculous," Tessa kept saying. But her voice had lost its power. Officer Rodriguez approached Maya, kneeling beside her. "Miss Torres, do you feel up to answering a few questions?" Maya nodded, meeting his eyes steadily. "She pushed me because I testified against her brother. She's been threatening me all summer. Today she finally followed through." "That's assault," the officer said quietly. "What you did before, coming forward about the vandalism, that took courage. And this?" He gestured at the pool. "This is attempted harm, possibly worse. We'll be pressing charges." Maya watched as they led Tessa away. For a moment, their eyes met, and Maya saw something crumble behind Tessa's defiant expression, the realization that her power had finally run out. Mrs. Chen sat beside Maya, wrapping another towel around her shoulders. "You scared us half to death, honey. When you weren't moving—" "I'm sorry," Maya said softly, and she meant it. She hadn't wanted to frighten innocent people. I needed everyone to see what she did. I needed witnesses. If I'd come up right away, she would have said it was an accident, and people would have believed her." Mrs. Chen studied her for a long moment, then something like understanding crossed her face. "You're a smart girl, Maya. Smarter than you should have to be." The sun was lower in the sky now, casting long shadows across the pool deck. Maya looked at the water, still and blue and no longer terrifying. She'd faced her fear and used it as a weapon. She'd played dead to come back to life on her own terms. Marcus approached hesitantly. "Hey, I'm glad you're okay." "Thank you for speaking up," Maya said. "You didn't have to do that." "Yeah, I did," Marcus replied. "I should have done it weeks ago." "A lot of us should have." He paused. "You're brave, you know. Braver than any of us." Maya smiled, feeling the weight of the summer lift from her shoulders. She'd learned something important today. Sometimes courage wasn't about fighting back with force. Sometimes it was about knowing when to let yourself fall, trusting that the truth would pull you back to the surface. As she gathered her things to leave, Maya glanced one last time at the deep end of the pool. Tomorrow, she decided, she'd come back and swim across it, not because she had to, but because she could.